Oh, I'm doing this. I'm doing this. I am doing this. The beginning of videos. Okay. I don't know why I'm so nervous. Okay. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ocean Baiha, but if that's too much of a tongue twister, then you can call me Ocean B. Okay. As I normally start my videos, I will say, as you guys can tell by the title of this video, this is going to be about the journey of life. I shall elaborate. Where to start? First of all, I'd like to begin by saying that my channel name has always been Ocean Baiha, but I will probably change it to Ocean Pacific. I will still have the same intro, but it'll probably be Ocean Pacific, the name of the channel, just because of branding ideas that I have for this channel in the future. I think that is the way that I should start this. Can you see everything on my glasses? Okay, yeah, so now the channel will definitely, probably by the time this video is posted, will be Ocean Pacific. And I don't have that many videos. I haven't been posting consistently. So of course it's not that big of a deal, the name change, but my intro is Ocean Baiha, but the channel name is going to be Ocean Pacific. So now, for all the people who I know are gonna be like, again, this girl's posting and she said she was gonna post, and this has been a long time coming. Anyone who knows me, anyone who's close to me knows that this has been a long time coming, and I've always said I'm gonna start posting consistently. I'm gonna start being on this channel, and I obviously have not. I think the first video posted on this channel was 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago, and there was only maybe 4 videos on this channel. And then before even posting that video, the first video, that took at least a year or two. So it's been at least 5 years of me trying to start up this channel, getting the courage to start this channel. And I guess we'll get into that later on in this channel, a little bit more about that. But I promise you this time, mark my words, if this video is posted, if you are seeing this video right now, it means that I have at least 7 or 8 other videos edited and lined up to be posted. They are ready to go. So you can expect to see me consistently now. This is the time that we are starting. I promise. To all the people who have been waiting for me to start this channel and actually take this seriously and be consistent about it, I am officially starting. I promise I am starting. This is the day. If you are seeing this video right now, please trust me in this process. I am going to be more consistent. I have plenty of video ideas, and if this video is posted, as I said before, this definitely means that I have at least 7 videos edited and ready to be posted. And you can expect, if I have to say like frequency of the videos, it will be every Wednesday and every Sunday. May or may not change, but ideally that will be the case. If I do miss a Wednesday, I will for sure 100% post on a Sunday, but because I'll have so many videos ready to be posted, I highly doubt that I'm going to miss a Wednesday unless there is a time that I wasn't able to like get a bunch of videos ready and lined up, because ideally I'm going to be filming in chunks. Spend one time like filming a bunch of videos, or like within a close period of time filming a bunch of videos, making sure that those videos are ready and set so that I don't have to stress about having these videos posted. Because if I'm not gonna lie, a big part of what's been holding me back is being afraid that I'm not going to be consistent, and that takes time to edit these videos and making sure I have video ideas. And you know, these are the things that have been holding me back, and I'm just trying to set myself up to be able to be as successful as possible. But this is for real this time. I think I am realizing why I wanted to do this channel in the first place, and I think I let a lot of my fears get in the way of me starting up this channel. Definitely this is an intro to all the videos that are coming ahead. Definitely, if you look back to the intro that I posted like years ago, it's a little different than where I'm at now. A couple of years older and different perspectives, and a little bit more confident in where I want to go with this channel. I'm calling this the journey of life because this is going to be a little bit of my journey as I'm figuring out life and learning about life and understanding it and seeing what it's composed of. basically this channel, I think a big part of the fear was that I was doing it and I was afraid of how it was going to look, how it was going to be perceived. Am I doing it the right way? Is it going to be perfect? But at the end of the day, I think what pushed me today is because I'm doing this for myself. I think I finally needed to take this step. This is something that I feel like is a part of my purpose, and I've been thinking about it, dwelling on it for a really long time. And I think it was just about time that I took action and decided to actually apply it and just do it. I think it will help me in my journey to figuring out this life and understanding it a little bit better, understanding these stages as I discover it with the audience as this journey goes on. And sometimes your journey helps other people's journeys. Sometimes your experience helps other people realize their experiences. And I think that if I feel like this is something that I should be doing, then I should be doing it. I shouldn't hold myself back because of my fears and insecurities, as many do have. But I don't think it was so much about the judgment that would come with being on social media. I think it's the pressure of social media, the things that it requires to be on social media, the consistency and the work that it takes. I like to do things the right way, and the fact that I wasn't sure what was the best way to do this perfectly, exactly right, that kind of held me back. And I think the fact that I'm making this about being a journey is what's going to give me more peace about it not being perfect right away and not it looking exactly how I want it to look like on the first day. And that's okay. Like I said, this is a journey, a lot of it for me, so mostly in fulfilling my purpose, because I feel like I haven't been in my purpose for a really long time, and that kind of caused me to lose a part of myself. And so this is my attempt to getting back into my purpose, reestablishing myself and figuring me out again. And so this is an intro to what's to come. And if I have to like break it down, I will put like a whole list right here. I have a breakdown of like what this channel is going to be about. And I have to write a list or else I'll be all over the place. My ideas are going to be all over the place. And so it's important that I write down what I'm going to be talking about, because if not, I will ramble. Anyone who knows me knows that I talk a lot and I ramble. And what's the best way to like be able to talk a lot? Filming yourself talk and talking to an audience, even if at the beginning it's just going to be like my dad and my mom, maybe my sisters and my cousins. But at the end of the day, I get to talk. So as I kind of already said, definitely this channel is going to be about me figuring it out, what I've learned so far, what I've been trying to apply, and what I think is to come, and the issues that I see in this world, how it affects many of us, and my approach on it and my understanding of it, and how I kind of came about to figure it out. I think that's like a short version of what I'm about to introduce you guys. I don't want it to just be a serious channel. I don't want it to be just like, this is Ocean's advice or this is what Ocean thinks. And you know, like I say Ocean, everyone calls me Ocean. I'm just used to it. I don't really know how it came about, but my name, I always say to people, is Ocean. If you are able to pronounce it, go right ahead. But like I said in the intro, Ocean is fine. So back to what I was saying. Yeah, I don't want it to be a serious channel. I want it to be about my discovery, like what I've learned, the good and the bad, of course, and stories that I think were lessons in my life, and as well as my good times. Like I want it to be, yes, sit down videos like this. A large portion of my channel is going to be sit down videos like this. So if you're going to get bored of me talking, or as this generation calls it, yapping, then this is definitely not going to be the place for you. But if there are other kinds of videos that you like to watch, like I want the channel to be my understanding of life, which is all the good things about it, the things that make me laugh, the things that I like in this life, and that includes my family. So there's going to be videos with my family, my sisters, my cousins, of course. Like there's going to be like vlogs and things like that are going to pop up here and there, even though the main purpose of the channel won't be that. But I do think it's important for your people to like register me and understand what I mean by some of the topics that I'm going to talk about, which is also like going to be about like staying true to yourself and the things that you like and your purpose. That's something that I'm going to say a lot when I refer to like a lot of the things in this world. It's going to be purpose. And I think it's not just about me talking about like all the problems that there are. It's about you going to see that how she is maybe going about having fun in this world, enjoying herself in this world, in her perspective, in her needs, in her way, because it looks differently for everybody. And sometimes we might think that a person who thinks a certain way or behaves a certain way might not be able to enjoy themselves in a particular way, which is fine. Like, I don't necessarily find certain endeavors the most fascinating and interesting things as others may. There's certain things that I think are more fun, and there's certain things that I personally enjoy. It doesn't make it any less fun just because it's different than what other people like to do. And so, of course, if I'm having fun and I'm doing something with my family, or if I'm doing something with some friends, or maybe I'll do a challenge here and there just for laughs, so we can see the quality times, I'm going to add it to this channel, including like what I do to reset myself, what I do to center myself, what I do to maybe get back on track and get my mind grounded. And this is in no way to say that everyone needs to do it. This is to say that based off what I know about myself, these are the things that I apply in order to feel more centered, bring myself back a little bit more to reality. And so it's not going to be about do what Ocean does. It's going to be about question what fits for you. Understand what should be applied within your own life, because it will look slightly different even if the foundations are similar. And the biggest thing that I would like to bring to this channel is to understand that everything is interconnected, that everything in some way relates to each other, and that it's not just one thing. We have this tendency to look at things and specific boxes because it's easier for us to understand. It's easier for us to get the bigger picture of the idea or of the problem or of the situation. But oftentimes by doing that, we neglect the fact that there are other things that also influence that, right? So it's the breakdown of life is kind of what it is. It's just seeing what is the deeper meaning, what is the deeper urge, what is the underlying message, because that underlying message helps you understand everything else, not the simple thing in itself. It's kind of like, if I have to give you like a whole benign example, it would be just like my skin complexion. You could be like, oh, she has a tanner skin. Automatically, she must be from an African background, but she could also just be from a South American background, like the Caribbean background, or the simple fact that maybe I'm actually just extremely tan. And it's kind of like understanding that there's a deeper things are not as superficial. And it seems simple when I'm saying it, but the idea here is to challenge my thinking as well as everyone else's thinking. As a disclaimer, I'm gonna put this as a disclaimer, I will probably say some things that people might be offended by, that people might not necessarily think is valid, but I'd like to point out that in no way do I claim to know more than everyone else. In no way do I claim to be a superior being to anyone. No way do I try to degrade or belittle anyone at any point in time. And if at any point you are offended, just understand that that is your perception of what I'm saying and not my actual intention in the message that I'm conveying. So I really encourage anyone who chooses to listen to me to understand that it's not a personal attack, that it's not something I have against anyone in particular. It's my observation about life and how I've come to understand it. And eventually we'll get to a point where I'm going to talk about how I permit myself to seek truth rather than seek comfortability, and why that is an important phenomenon. Keep in mind, I am still learning in school. I am in school. I am still young. I've only have 20 years of experience in this life, and I have so much more opportunity to learn. And I am currently learning outside of school, learning for my own sake, learning for the sake of this channel, learning for just my growth, right? And like I said, this channel is about my growth. It's about putting myself out there to fulfill my purpose that I believe is my purpose, and kind of coming to terms with myself, what I think I should be doing. If anyone ever disagrees with anything that I say, I invite you to please respectfully put it into the comments message so that I may consider it, may bring it into perspective, because you will see, and I will talk about this later on in some videos, that other people's perspectives and opinions are important. I do not claim to have all the answers. I only claim to continuously seek for answers and to look for truth in every different perspective, because I think that that's how you come to the singular truth. There's a reason why we see things differently, and so I'd like to embrace that. And I invite anyone who is willing to be respectful to bring their ideas, bring their opinions, state something that they might not agree with, or question my reasoning. There are certain things that on this channel, at least for a while, that I probably will not talk about, that I will not tackle. I just don't think it's the time, and I don't think it's appropriate for the purpose of my channel at this moment. So maybe sometimes there are going to be some things that I say from a perspective of reasoning that might not make complete sense, because there is a deeper statement behind it. As I said, everything is connected, and what I'm trying to do is kind of break down different aspects of life in order to kind of understand that it's a lot more complex than what we may see, like the simple idea of perception. And I'm learning it in school, and I've kind of already been questioning it myself on a daily basis, but it's even better when you're learning about it. And so basically the point that I'm trying to make is that I invite everybody to come say their opinions and challenge them. Oh, what I was trying to say is that there is a deeper meaning behind everything. Everything could be questioned further and beyond, and that's the mystery of life. That's why it's so complex. That's why we can never take it from face value, and that's kind of the perspective. The idea here isn't to necessarily convince you of my point. The idea here is to get you to question about it, to look at it from different perspectives, to be open-minded, to realize that it's sometimes not so black and white. And people seem to think that the way I think is black and white, but it's just because there's some things that I understand why people may look at it the other way, but there's some things that are clear its purpose. Right? It might not, like, the reasoning behind that purpose isn't always clear, but the purpose for it is very clear. So that's why it may seem that my opinions are black and white, but the reality is I never think of anything as black and white, because everything is very, very complex. And things that I probably won't tackle for a while is like theology. Like, those are concepts that do fascinate me, and I am trying to learn more about it on my personal time, even in school. And so I think even until I have a better foundation on that and understanding, and how I would like to talk about it, how I would like to approach it with people, then maybe at that point in time I will bring it up in this channel. But until then, I will bring other perspectives and kind of just getting people to maybe question a little bit their thinking and see maybe how their perceptions may be flawed. No way do I claim to be perfect, but I do try my best to find the correct way to do things, right? And try my best to be open-minded to the fact that I am or could be wrong. And then everything that I'm mentioning is a breakdown of things that I think are a part of life, and at one point in time will be talked about in this channel. And I think that's the beauty of it. I get to talk about my discoveries. I get to discuss about what I'm understanding, and as well as see how I need to apply it to my own life and figure myself out in my journey, as I call it, the journey of life. If I have to express a little bit the breakdown of how I'm going to talk about things, or why I'm going to pick at certain things, if we have to describe what the journey of life is, and I invite you to question that for yourself. What does that mean? Oftentimes we look at it as a step-by-step process, as in once I was a baby, and then I was a kid, then I was an adolescent, and then I was a young adult, and then I became an adult, and then I became an elderly. What are a part of those stages? So a baby is often a point of discovery. A child is just someone who is gathering information, and then an adolescent is a stage of this understanding oneself in a reality that is a little bit larger than their own. And then an adult is navigating what their purpose is. A young adult is navigating their purpose, and then a middle middle adult is kind of just like living the life that they have, trying to reach their peak of abilities in whatever they're doing. And then an elderly person looks back and shares wisdom and kind of just like tries to appreciate the life that they have and appreciate the people that they have and the time that they have. If I have to like give a simple breakdown of like what I believe that may be and how that could look like, but how do those stages look like and how should they feel? Should you, we say you're an adult at 18 years old, but are all our brains developing at the same pace? Exactly. Yeah, we can give an average of how mature we are going to be by that point, but is it actually a perfect math? No, probably it's unlikely. And then to say that we should probably get married or have kids, but then there's people who are like, oh, I don't want to get married, or I don't want kids, and I don't believe that. Or let's say you're meant to be financially stable by a certain point, but you don't reach that because you haven't reached a certain income, or you didn't reach a certain threshold, or you started realizing that you need this qualification, or you realize that these are the endeavors that you prefer going into. And basically, in short, what I'm trying to say is that life isn't simple. Life is obviously complicated, and it isn't smooth, and it has bumpy roads. And yeah, you're listening to me and you're probably like, oh, yeah, duh, Ocean, like obviously like everybody knows that. Well, believe it or not, everybody doesn't know that, because I definitely didn't. I definitely did not understand that concept. I think possibly that I have an idea of what that's meant to look like and what that actually meant, but realistically, until you actually have to face it, that's when you get it. And then think about it, people face it at different times in life. People face it when they're younger. Some people face it later in life. It depends on your environment. It depends on a lot of things, and I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but I wanted to break down a little bit what I think a person is composed of. Like, if I have to break it down, I would say you have your genes. You're just a bundle of cells, and you're a person that you're not really a person yet. You're just a variation of some sort that is supposed to develop into some animal version of a computer. Like, if we have to really think about our brains, we are way more complex than computers. Like, the abilities that our brains have, it's interesting. It's far from simple, of course. That's simple terms, of course. So at this point, you're like, Ocean, like, come on, you're not telling us anything that is completely abnormal. No, this is just simply an introduction to what I'm trying to bring to this channel and kind of like where my brain is at and like what I think about. If I have to break down the individual, I would say that we're composed of our genes, and then we move on to environmental influences. Now, what does that entail? That means your parents primarily, and then if you don't have parents, whoever comes second. But we can't negate the fact that your parents are the primary people in your life who have a significant impact. That's why people who lose a parent very early, or people who didn't have parents, oftentimes do have an internal struggle that will be really hard to remove, because there's just a specific role that parents have. Now, at this point in time, can I tell you why that bond is so important and why it's so significant? Probably not, at least not without getting existential. To proceed, we said genes and then environmental influences. So environmental influences include your peers at work, your peers at school, your dance friends, your soccer friends, your choir friends, your church friends, your club friends, chess friends, your teachers, your pets, the city, the culture. What kind of culture do you live in? What are the culture's beliefs? What are the culture's aspirations? What are the culture's foundations? Social media. How are you being influenced by social media? Like, what are people telling you you're supposed to believe? And how does it correspond with what you believe? Things like that. So I would say like that. And then aside from your parents, you have other family members. Like, how well are your relationship with your sisters, your brothers, your cousins, your distant cousins, your aunties, your uncles? Or do you even have a relationship with those people? Some people don't have any of those, unfortunately, and that shapes their realities a little bit differently. And it's about inviting people to appreciate what they already have, because we tend to focus so much on what we don't, and the problems and the harm and the hurt and the feelings. And trust me, I'm not calling it invalid at all whatsoever in some sort of way. If anything, trying to say that life is inevitably tough. life is inevitably going to have some sort of struggle in some type of way. And the only way to appreciate it is to live in it, is to learn to appreciate it, what we can appreciate, what there is to appreciate. But I'm getting ahead of myself. That is not what I was trying to say. I was literally trying to say that we have genes, we have environmental influences, then we have a molding of the two. So that would mean your adaptability. So what do your genes, the genes that you have and the environmental influences that you received do together in combination? So how are your genes being influenced by your environment? So you do have a set gene that are activated or are not activated. I think everyone is born with all genes. Correct me if I'm wrong, please, if I am. I believe we are born with all genes possible, but only some are activated and some are not. I think that's how genes work. And so now these genes may be influenced. And then if I have to speculate, because like I said, I'm speculating, I do not claim to know what I do not know, then I would presume that your other genes will start activating if it's needed for the environment that you're in, or be less inhibited more if it's less required for the environment that you're in. And so maybe what you were meant to be wasn't able to develop because of where you were or where you've been brought up. But then you could argue that maybe that was always your purpose, but I'm getting ahead of myself. I got a whole video for that as well. So now, yes, I would like to say that we have genes, environmental influences, and then the molding of the two. And then if we have to proceed, then it would be the formation of your perception. So if I'm having to explain briefly what perception is for those who may or may not understand what I'm trying to say, is how we see the world, how we understand the world, how we interpret the information that is given to us. So perception doesn't necessarily equal reality. It's just how you've come to understand the world. And that obviously is heavily influenced by how you were brought up and your genes. What are you predisposed with? What are you likely to react with anyways? What are things that are probably going to make you tick or are probably going to make you calm a little bit more than others? What your predisposition is will then influence how you see things, how you take in things, as well as, for example, your environmental influences will affect how you perceive things, how you take things. And if I have to kind of invite you to imagine what I'm trying to say for those who may not necessarily understand what I'm trying to say, is that when it comes to your genes, it could be like genes influencing how you perceive the world is, let's say your hearing tones are slightly different than others. Let's say that you can't see and you don't have the proper glasses or you to correct those eyes so that you can intake information properly. That's a simplistic way of saying how your genes could be influencing your perception of reality, as well as environmental influences, which would then mean that, so if you were a kinder person, but people are nurturing colder aspects of you, so whenever you tend to blow up or tend to react, that's when you got the most feedback. Feedback could be positive or negative. So if you got the most feedback, then you're likely going to change your ways or change your personality or your genes, if I have to be more specific, to adapt to your environment. And so in which case then someone who's more predisposed to being calmer and kinder, if they're put into an environment where they need to be more aggressive, then they're just going to become more aggressive. Now, is that what they're meant to be? No. Are things reversible? That's a question that is hard to answer. I would say, are things reversible? Sure, if it's still at a time where the person is most malleable, but as time progresses, habits and perceptions are ingrained in the person to the point where it becomes their reality. And then that's when you start thinking that these mechanisms that are meant to protect you, because your body and your brain are designed in the way to protect you against your environment. And so we start believing that our protective mechanisms are who we are, rather than understanding our own intrinsic realities, intrinsic abilities in application to the world, rather than our coping mechanisms project it to the world. If I did not make any sense, I will elaborate further in future videos. But this intro video is getting really long. And so I'm going to try to finish up. As I've said, is that we have genes, environmental influences, the molding of the two, then the creation of perception, and then I would say forms of morals and values. And so our morals and values are comprised of what we understand of the world, what we've come to understand is wrong and right, good or bad, and begs the question of what is good and what is bad. But we're not going to go that far today, and probably not that far anytime soon. But what your values are, and your values are usually based off how you perceive the world, how you were brought up, so your environment, and then how you are predisposed as well. So the point of this long rant was just to kind of invite the idea that life is very, very complicated, and oftentimes we just want to break down one thing and then say that that's the issue. And because it's easier for us to be able to say that we want to be able to explain something, we want something to have a logical, rational train of thought. And that's the beauty of our minds. We are able to rationalize things, conceptualize things, and that's amazing. But unfortunately, this world is far more complex than we can imagine, and everything is interconnected in some sort of way. I guarantee that you can connect everything and anything in some sort of way. It may not be directly, but it's through a chain of things, because everything has a deeper meaning that follows the other meaning that follows the other meaning. And it's kind of to say that you can break down every single piece. And that's kind of how different sciences have been created and different arts have been created. How can you distinguish between trees? How can you distinguish between colors and whatever? It's the fluidity of things. It's to say that everything follows a chain, even if they have definite meanings behind it. They all have specific purposes that kind of connect to others. That kind of introduces the idea that difference is important. You have a lot of different aspects that bring to a larger picture, and it's just life is complicated. It is the bigger picture that I was trying to say, and that I just want to invite you to see my journey discovering the complexity of this life. So I appreciate you listening to me. If you listened all the way to the end, kudos to you, because I'm sure this video is probably at least 25 minutes long, and I would hope that I wouldn't make the videos longer than 30 minutes, but I appreciate you sitting here and listening to me rant, or yap as this generation might say, and have a wonderful day, night, evening, afternoon, and take care of yourself. Now, I'll see you in my next video. Thank you. Bye.